So we've got our first ever Q&A on the channel starting right now. I'm excited to do this. Let's see what questions you had for me. So the first question we've got here is from Christine Culpepper. When and how did you fall in love with Batman specifically? Well, Brucey Boy and I met out at the Gotham Met Gala. Actually, back when I was a kid, there were a lot of superheroes I loved. The main one was Spider-Man. I still love Spider-Man, classic Spider-Man. I think the new Spider-Man arcs kind of suck, a lot of them. But when I was a kid, I remember just being drawn towards Batman when I saw the Michael Keaton 1989 movie. Now, I'm not that old, but it was on TV all the time when I was a kid, and I just found it really fascinating. This is kind of funny though, what really pulled me in was Batman Forever, which is admittedly not a very good Batman movie at all. It's okay with Val Kilmer, but I just remember loving Batman's relationship with the other characters in the movie, sort of like how he interacts with his rogues gallery, even weird Riddler Jim Carrey. He just had like a really interesting vibe with those characters. And as I got older and actually watched, real Batman movies that are better, I saw that really play out on the screen to a much greater extent. And then I started reading the comics and realizing that Batman really is in a special position in comics and fiction to actually have like these connections to his rogues gallery, to have opposites like the Joker who work against him, but are so much like a flip side of the same coin. That really kept me interested in Batman. So I hope that answered your question. The second one we have here is from Raiz Sharif. I'm sorry if I butcher anyone's names. I suck at names, so it's literally nothing on you. The question is, what other DC character would you like to see in a solo game? One of my favorite DC characters, Superman. Superman is sadly just doomed to get mediocre to terrible games. The last game I can think of him getting for like a console was the Xbox 360 and PS3 Superman Returns, and it's pretty bad. There were some fun things about the game, I guess. I have a traumatic trash on the channel about it and just how terrible it is, but I think Superman has a lot of potential for a video game adaptation. I think that he could... It's hard because you don't want to make him invulnerable where he can't be beaten, but you also don't want to tone him down from what makes Superman Superman, and I totally get that. I think Superman Returns was on the right track with maybe having like a city health meter. It just wasn't implemented well at all, but they also run the risk of being annoying. I think Superman's had so many bad or mediocre games though that it's not going to happen, at least not for a long time. For a while there were rumors Rocksteady was maybe going to do one, but well, here we are and it never happened. Andy Owski asked, am I the only one who as a kid had the biggest crush on Huntress? Question, was a lucky guy. There was no Q&A here, I just wanted to answer this. No, sir, you are not the only one who had the biggest crush on Huntress. As far as fictional characters go, Huntress is bae. No one, well, here's the problem. I say Huntress is bae, but I also feel that way about Supergirl and Harley Quinn. Oh man, Wonder Woman. So I mean, Catwoman. There's a lot of baes for me, especially in the DC universe. But no, absolutely not. You are not the only one with a crush on Huntress, as is shown under the long thread of very cultured young fellows, young lads, under this post, representing the DC brand well. Thank you very much. Logan Collins with a Q&A. What's your favorite band? Not Batman related, but I thought I'd give it a go, LOL. I appreciate you giving it a go, because I gotta be honest with you. Love Batman? I can't only talk about Batman. Love him to death, but I definitely need these sprinkled in, these other questions and even other content on the channel, so I appreciate that. But, what's my favorite band? That one's a little rough. It depends on the actual genre that we're looking at. I love Green Day, but unlike a lot of fans of Green Day, I love post-Dookie Green Day the best, actually. I think American Idiot is if it's not one of them, it is the best modern rock album of the last 30 years, I think. It's perfect. It's something I never skip a song on, ever. It's something that Green Day somehow has not been able to recapture since then. I also really loved Linkin Park back before, was it Thousand Suns, I think? So like their first two albums, Meteora and, oh man, now I'm blanking, Hybrid Theory. Those two were fantastic albums. I love Certain Things by a lot of bands, is the one thing that I will say about this. Like, I kind of like every genre of music for the most part. I'm just not a big country person. But, like, I'm a big fan of certain things from rap artists, from, like, I love most things by Eminem, except for a couple of his more recent albums I think kind of suck. I'm a big fan of certain things by Kanye. So it's like my taste is kind of all over the place. Our next question is from Platinum PT. Did you play the Injustice games? If so, what do you think about them? All right, so I'm of two minds about the Injustice games. I love the games. So let me say that. Injustice 1, going back to it, I think is a little stale, a little boring to me. I still think it's a good game. I just have a hard time playing it now. I still play Injustice 2 and I love it. But my playing of it is a little limited. I enjoy the games a lot. I suck at fighting games, and I don't really have the time to devote to get very good at them. I consider this a job that I do. It's one that I love, but it is a job I do. So I put a lot of time into this. I also put a lot of time into my other job. And then on top of that, I also try to play other video games. And the thing with fighters is if you don't stay on it, you kind of suck unless you're just some kind of prodigy, and I am not that. And on top of that, too, I also have arthritis in my hands at a pretty young age, so that doesn't really help me play games like that. So a lot of times with Injustice 2, I find myself more just simming it to watch the characters fight each other, earn new outfits for people like Supergirl, and just kind of customize them. I love the character building in those games, in Injustice 2 especially, the customization and character building, and how you can sort of affect their stats and their cosmetics as well. I love that to death. All right, our next question is from Jack Nickel. Do you have the 240% Batsuit in Arkham Knight? Yes, I do. It's not really how I would recommend you devote your time, considering that you really can't use it in very much. I mean, you can use it in challenge maps and to roam around the story mode map, but you have to beat pretty much all the story mode content and DLC to get it, and then you can't restart a new game with it unless you're on PC, and then you can mesh mod it to do so. So you don't really get to see it in cutscenes or anything unless you've modded your game. So, I mean, it's a cool suit. I really like it, but it's not really a super valid way to spend your time gaming just to earn that. Our next question is from AlanZo0007. What got you interested in making YouTube videos? Well, I'm glad you asked. Back in the day, a long time ago, 10, 12 years ago, I think I started making YouTube videos on a different channel. That channel is long deleted and gone. But essentially, I made a lot of music videos on that channel and tributes to anime, actually, and Kingdom Hearts. I was a very emo kid who loved his anime and his Kingdom Hearts and his depressing All-American Rejects music. So that's kind of what got me into YouTube videos originally. Later on in my renaissance of YouTube, I guess in the last couple of years, what really got me into it was my passion for video games and for having an opinion, I guess, and being able to share that with people, even though I'm still surprised anyone cares what my opinion is at all, honestly. Like, I don't know why you do. I'm really happy that you do. It makes me happy, but I am just a person. Our next question is from Lucifer Devil, and I am not pronouncing all the symbols in your name because I don't know what they mean. The question is, why do you do videos on the Arkham series? There's a few answers to that. Arkham is definitely one of my favorite video game series of all time. It certainly is my favorite superhero series by far. Now, why do I do videos on it? So that's one reason. Another reason also is just having something that I can talk about that is an outlet to talk about different things with the DC universe and the Batman characters. And I think the third reason, especially, which I don't want it to seem like this is the only reason I'm doing it, but it's because people are interested. Because I noticed when I started making Arkham videos that there are a lot of other people making them, yes. Some have backed off a lot in the last year, I would say, since there's been nothing. But I used to make a lot of content that nobody watched. And it was still content I cared about, but this is content I care about just as much, if not more, and now people are watching. So it's like, why wouldn't I keep, working on Arkham, talking about it since I'm so passionate about it, and being able to share that passion. But that does bring me up to a little point here too, is that if you ever want to see variety on the channel, sorry, I can't speak, because I know I do to some extent at least, please definitely check it out when I upload things that are not Arkham related. I totally get it if you're here mainly for the Arkham stuff, but it does help me out to be able to sometimes take a break from that and maybe talk about, movies that day or a different game, anything like that. I do like bringing all of you the news as I can as well without, just neglecting Arkham. So definitely check those videos out when I put them up. That does help me out. Now we've got a question from Piker Lord. How does it feel being able to have this community, having all these people who watch your videos and comment about things that you love? Has it always been like a dream to have something like this, especially relating to something you enjoy like DC and the Arkham series? Yes, absolutely. This has always been a dream of mine to be able to talk about something and have someone care about it. That sounds depressing, but to actually have an audience. But at the same time, no, it's not. It's hard to describe because I don't really see my opinion as worth any more than any of yours. I know it's mine, so it's first person point of view. I see it from my point of view. But every time I talk about something and it'll get like a couple thousand views even, I'm like, how do a couple thousand people care what I have to say about anything? I guess I was never really, a little backstory here, just a tiny bit. I was never really a popular kid in school or in high school really, so it's weird to have so many people that actually give a crap about anything I have to say when I couldn't get 5 people to in school. So that's kind of weird to me. It just feels very different. It's something I need to get used to, especially as the channel grows. And it's something, again, I'm of two minds about. Like, do I love it? Absolutely. Is it a dream? Yeah. Is this my dream job for me to eventually be able to just do this if that works out? Yes, definitely. All those things. But it's hard because I also make content and I think, well, that's a dumb opinion you just had about myself, about my own opinion. And I'm not a people pleaser, but I am. Like, I want to please people that like me, like that care about me. If somebody just hates me and they just come in here like, oh, you're an idiot, I don't really care. I couldn't care less what you think. But like people that do like me and that do care about what I'm doing or have constructive criticism, I definitely want to live up to those people's standards of me and also sort of not act like a babysitter at all, because this community is not about me. It's about the things we love. And I know that I can't control it. So it's a weird, it's like a hydra, It's like when I talk about something, I'm like, do I want to talk about this article? Because I don't know if maybe 4 or 5 people are going to contact the author of this and, take a huge dump on them. And I don't really want them to do that. But at the same time, should I not be able to because of that? There's a lot of things I have to think about now that I didn't think about when my videos were getting like 10 views. But I don't know. It's always greener on the other side of the fence, I guess. Somebody else's yard is always greener. There's always going to be something to complain about. I just try to do my best with what I've got and maintain my self-confidence. Now we have a question from William Todd. What do you think about the idea of a Green Arrow game? Love the channel and love that people still care about the Arkham games. Well, thanks, William. I also love the channel. I love the Arkham games. And my thoughts on a Green Arrow game, I think it would work very well and very easily. I think the problem with it is brand recognition. I mean, you can sell Batman and Superman so easily just based on the name. I think Green Arrow is sort of there with TV now because of, Arrow. I think Green Arrow has hit that point with TV where you can sell him on TV based on just his name. I don't know if he's there yet in games because really he's just made some appearances and no one's taken him seriously in gaming. That's kind of my one issue with him. Do I think the game could work? Absolutely. I think it could work just as well as a Batman game if sort of the same style and world building was put into it that they put into the Arkham franchise. Next, we have a question. Wow. Yikes. I'm going to just leave that in. That's kind of my stutter. Next, we have a question from Richard Rothwell. 5 alternate skins for each possible member of the Bat family. Oh my gosh, that's like 50 skins. That is insane. Well, Richard, I think I'm going to save that for a video idea about different skins that we could see for members of the Bat family in the next Arkham game that I can do in the near future, or maybe if they ever announce the dang game. Next, we have a question from Harry Indeed. It's Harry Indeed. What's your favorite video game? Not Arkham related. Oh, that's so hard for me. I think I'm going to have to go with favorite video game series, but I do have one answer for your game question too, so I'm answering 2 questions here. For favorite game series, it's either Halo or Fallout. I don't know which. I have a special place in my heart for both. Halo, Fallout, and Elder Scrolls I played a lot with my dad before he passed, so that was really a way we connected a lot, and we made characters together and played through those games. So those games mean a lot to me. And even that aspect aside, I think Fallout New Vegas would be my favorite game that's not Arkham related. If you get it running perfectly or fairly perfectly on PC, I think it is as close to a you are a person living in a world game as you can get for an RPG. You sort of get to make your own story. It's just incredible. I love the characters in it. I love the world building. I really love everything about it. And the lore is just insane in that series. If you haven't played Fallout, I know it's super popular, but if you haven't, you are doing yourself a disservice. You really need to check it out. Now, finally, we have a question, and I know there was a lot of Q&A questions, so if I didn't get to yours, please remember that, I will try to come back to some of these from this first video, and this is something I'd like to do a little more often, depending on if people watch it and enjoy it. But our last question is from finalform.ex3 or exe. Why do you think they haven't made a perfect Batman movie yet? Dark Knight was really about Joker and Gotham. Okay, so I don't want to get into a video essay here, but I love films. Films are like a huge passion of mine, I would say, right, like tied with games. I love movies just as much. So what I will say about a perfect Batman movie is it really depends how you look at it. Now, there is elements, each one of those stories in the Nolanverse has its own elements. It seems like the first one is the most about Batman, sort of Bruce Wayne, like becoming the Batman, becoming a legend. The second one is about maintaining that legend and doing things for the greater good, maintaining order over chaos and how that works. And the third one, I would say that Dark Knight is more about the legend aspect and order and Joker, you're right, than it is Batman. But Batman still plays a key role in it, right? Rises is pretty much just a Gotham movie. Batman is in it, what is it, like less than 20 minutes in suit, I think? He doesn't really, it's like he matters, and the legacy of him matters at the end, but essentially that's a movie about Gotham. I think that whole storyline, the Nolanverse, is affected by 2 things. One, that's what Christopher Nolan wanted to do. He didn't want it to just be about Batman. The second thing is that Heath Ledger, sadly passed away between Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises. I think that really affected the quality of the third film. But I will say that I think it's very hard to capture the essence of the Batman character in a live action portrayal. I think that's why we haven't had a perfect Batman movie. There's Batman movies I love. I love the Nolan trilogy. I love Batman and Batman Returns. So I think that there have been good interpretations. I even love Batfleck, honestly. Were the movies he was in perfect? No, but I love the version of that character that he played. I thought he did a good job. I think though that it's so hard to capture that in a live action portrayal and really do it justice. I do think we have gotten some perfect Batman movies. I just don't think they're live action. I would say if you haven't seen it, The Dark Knight Returns parts 1 and 2 together in the deluxe edition. So The Dark Knight Returns, the deluxe edition on Blu-ray. That is about as close to me as a perfect Batman movie as you can get that we've seen in recent years. I think some older ones, though, were something like Return of the Joker for Batman Beyond, I think was a near perfect Batman movie. I think Mask of the Phantasm was. I think this is just a character that is so fantastical, even though he is down to earth and rooted on the ground as a man. It's very hard to capture that with human beings in live action without it being silly or losing focus. So again, this is all the questions I have time for today. If you had more questions, I have saved a couple of them for the next Q&A. I would like to do this a little more often. I'm just hoping, that it actually is watched by everybody or as many people as we can get. That's kind of the issue I've had with some other types of content recently. Like, I love making the Arkham stuff. It's been a little hard to justify certain other types of videos when it's like an Arkham video will get 20,000 views and then some other video will get 900. I definitely still appreciate the views wherever I get them. It's just sometimes I try to focus on what you're interested in, and what you are going to enjoy. And if you're not going to enjoy it or be interested in it, then I try to back off of that sort of thing. But I need variety, you need variety. So let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. What other games would you like to see me do videos on, or other subjects? Maybe they could be DC, Batman related, or not related to those things at all that you think would be interesting to see on the channel. I'd love to hear that in the comments down below. I hope you had a fantastic time here today. I really appreciated reading and answering your questions. Like I said, I've saved some for the next one, and we'll do this again soon. Have an awesome day.